Men, let me be brutally honest with you. Affairs don't just appear out of nowhere. They're not random accidents, and they're not simply about sex. Affairs are symptoms. Symptoms of a deeper problem that most men ignore until it's too late. Now, I know you've heard all the excuses before. Some men say women just get bored. Others say, well, if you're not rich or good looking, she'll leave you for someone better. And some men chalk it up to women being unfaithful by nature. But let me give you the truth straight and unfiltered. After years of listening to women, watching relationships rise and fall, and seeing what actually pushes them into another man's arms, it almost always comes down to one thing. Not money, not looks, not status. It's emotional neglect. That phrase may sound soft. It may even sound harmless. But don't let the word emotional fool you. Emotional neglect is deadly to relationships. It's the slow poison that drains her connection to you. And when it's gone, when she feels unseen and unheard, that's when another man has the opening to step in. You may not believe me yet. That's fine. But stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll not only understand exactly why emotional neglect is the number one reason men over 40 get cheated on, you'll know how to spot it and how to turn it around before it destroys everything you've built. Why? Emotional neglect on creeps in after 40. Here's the reality. Men over 40 have usually spent decades grinding, building careers, raising families, carrying responsibilities. You've been told your whole life that your job as a man is to provide, protect, and solve problems. That's what being a good man means. And in many ways, you've succeeded. You've paid the bills. You've kept the household running. You've probably avoided the chaos and drama that ruined other relationships you've seen. You think, I don't cheat, I don't hit, I don't abandon. That should be enough. But here's the catch. While you've been focused on doing, you stopped connecting. Think about it. You come home after a long day. You're tired. You want peace. Maybe you scroll on your phone, watch TV, or retreat into your hobbies. You assume she understands because, hey, you're doing your part. But what you don't realize is that while you're resting, she's starving. Not for money, not for gifts, but for attention. See, women don't measure love in bills paid. They measure it in connection. Do you see her? Do you ask about her day? Not just the logistics, but how she feels. Do you notice when something is weighing on her heart? Do you still flirt with her, compliment her, touch her gently in passing the way you used to? Or have you become more emotionally connected to your phone, your work, or even the news than you are to her? That's how emotional neglect creeps in, quietly, slowly, without drama. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because you don't notice it, but she feels it every single day. Next, understand and how emotional neglect turns into cheating. Let's break this down step by step. Affairs don't start in the bedroom. They start with attention. A man at work asks her how her day was. An old classmate messages her on Facebook and says she looks beautiful in her new photo. A stranger at a coffee shop remembers her order and smiles when she walks in. These are small gestures. But when she's starving, even crumbs feel like a feast. It doesn't mean she sets out to cheat. Most women don't. What it means is that she begins to feel alive again in someone else's presence, in a way she hasn't felt with you in years. This is the critical point you need to understand. Affairs are rarely about sex. They are about feeling seen, heard, and valued. By the time it gets physical, the emotional bond with you has already been broken. And here's the part that blindsides most men. From your perspective, nothing seems wrong. You're not fighting. She's not screaming at you. Life is moving along. The house is quiet. You mistake that quiet for peace. But quiet is not peace. Quiet is distance. Quiet is the sound of a relationship drifting apart. And when she finally crosses the line, you're left saying, I didn't see it coming. I thought we were fine. No, you weren't fine. You were disconnected. And disconnection, over time, almost always leads to betrayal. Next, why silence is the real enemy. Here's something most men don't realize. Relationships don't usually end because of constant fighting. They end because of silence. Fighting means there's still energy, passion, a need to be heard. Silence means one or both of you have stopped trying. Silence means she no longer feels it's worth bringing her feelings to you. Silence means she's turning inward or outward. And if another man comes along who gives her what you're withholding, even just a listening ear, even just playful attention, he suddenly looks like water in the desert. That's why emotional neglect is so lethal. It doesn't feel dramatic to you, but it's catastrophic to her. Next, the warning signs. Most men ignore. So let's get practical. How do you know if emotional neglect has already crept into your relationship? There are patterns, clear warning signs, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. First, your conversations have become transactional. You talk about bills, schedules, who's picking up the kids, what needs fixing around the house. But when was the last time you asked her about her dreams, her fears, her excitement? If your conversations sound more like business meetings than intimate exchanges, that's neglect. Second, her energy towards you feels flat. Remember when her face lit up when you walked in the room? When she leaned into you instead of away from you? If she now barely looks up from her phone or responds with one-word answers, that's not just stress, that's detachment. Third, physical intimacy has quietly shifted. And I'm not just talking about sex. I mean the small gestures that used to come naturally. The casual hand on your arm, the kiss on the cheek in passing, the way she reached for your hand when you walked together. If those things have faded, it means her emotional fuel tank is running on empty. Fourth, she shares more with others than she does with you. If she vents to her sister, her friends, or even the kids, more than she opens up to you, that's a red flag. It means she doesn't trust you with her inner world anymore. And finally, the fifth sign. You sense distance, but you tell yourself, everything's fine. This is the most dangerous lie men tell themselves. You know something is off. You feel it in the lack of laughter, in the way her body language has cooled, in the way she's become harder to reach. But because she's not yelling, because there's no open war, you assume you're safe. You're not safe. You're drifting. And unless you act, someone else may step into the space you've left open. Next, how women experience neglect. Here's where I need you to step into her shoes for a moment. Because as a man, you're used to measuring your love through actions, working hard, fixing problems, making sure the lights stay on and the roof stays over her head. That's your love language. But women experience love differently. For them, love isn't proven in the mortgage payment. It's proven in the way you look at them when they talk. It's in whether you remember what they said yesterday. It's in whether you ask about the thing they told you they were nervous about. Attention is oxygen for women. When you stop giving it, she doesn't think, he's just tired. She thinks, I don't matter to him anymore. That's why the stakes are so high. You think you're giving enough because you're providing, because you're loyal, because you're not out running around. But in her world, she's gasping for connection. And she won't tell you directly, not in words you'll hear. Instead, she'll drop hints. She'll try to get your attention. And when those attempts don't land, she'll stop trying. At that point, she's not angry. She's empty. And emptiness is what makes her vulnerable. Next, the slow slide into emotional affairs. Now let's talk about how it actually happens. How emotional neglect opens the door to cheating. It never starts with sex. It almost never starts with, I want to have an affair. It starts with something small. She laughs at a coworker's joke. She shares a little frustration with a man who listens. She posts something online and another man comments, "You look incredible." She doesn't plan on it going anywhere. She tells herself it's harmless, but inside something awakens. She feels noticed. She feels valued. She feels alive in a way she hasn't felt with you in years. That small spark grows. She starts looking forward to talking to him. She shares more. He listens more, and suddenly, he knows more about her daily life than you do. This is the critical stage, the emotional affair. By the time you sense something is wrong, she's already emotionally invested in another man. And once that bond takes root, the physical step is not far behind. Here's the tragic part. It doesn't mean she stopped loving you. It means she stopped feeling loved by you. And I'll say it again. Most men never see this stage happening because from the outside, nothing looks different. She's still at home. She's still making dinner. She's still going through the motions. But inside, she's slowly transferring her emotional loyalty to someone else. By the time it becomes physical, it's not the beginning of the affair. It's the final stage of something that's been growing for months, even years. Next, the calm before the storm. This is why so many men are blindsided. You think things are stable because there's no drama, but the absence of fighting doesn't mean health. It often means indifference. And indifference is the true opposite of love. When a woman has stopped fighting, stopped reaching out, stopped asking for attention, you are not in a safe place. You're in the calm before the storm. So if you recognize these patterns, don't dismiss them. Don't say, she's just stressed. Don't say, this is just how marriage is after 20 years. Those are excuses men tell themselves while the ground crumbles beneath them. The truth is, you can either wake up to what's happening now, or you can wake up later after she's already crossed a line you can't come back from. Next, what you can do right now. Now let's flip this around, because knowing the problem is one thing, doing something about it is another. If you've listened this far, maybe you're seeing pieces of yourself in this. Maybe you've noticed the silence in your home, the flatness in her eyes, or the way conversations have grown shallow. Maybe you've realized you've been doing the duties of a partner without the connection of a lover. The good news is this: emotional neglect can be reversed, but only if you take it seriously. So, what can you do? First, become present again. When you walk into the room, put your phone down, look at her. Really look. Make eye contact when she speaks. Don't just nod. Don't half listen while scrolling or checking emails. Presence is the first step back to connection. Second, start asking questions that matter. Not just, how was your day? But, what was the best part of your day? Or, what's been on your mind lately? Or even, what are you most excited about right now? These questions open doors to her inner world. Third, revive affection. Not grand gestures, not expensive gifts, simple touches. A hand on her back as you pass by. A kiss that lingers half a second longer. A playful compliment whispered when nobody else is listening. These little sparks relight the fire. Fourth, listen without fixing. This is huge. When she vents, Don't jump to solve the problem. Just hear her. Nod, say, that sounds tough. Validate her feelings. To you, that may feel pointless. To her, it feels like love. And fifth, remind her why she fell for you. When was the last time you made her laugh? When was the last time you shared a dream or did something adventurous together or showed her the side of you that wasn't just provider and protector, but lover and companion? That man is still in you. Bring him back. A story you need to hear. I want to share a story I've seen play out too many times. There was a man, let's call him David. He was 47, married for over 20 years, 2 kids, successful career. By all appearances, he was a good husband. He worked hard, paid the bills, never cheated, never abused. In his mind, he was doing everything right, but over the years, the spark between him and his wife faded. They rarely touched. Their conversations were about logistics. He thought this was just normal marriage, quiet, routine, predictable. One day, his wife sat him down and confessed she'd been seeing someone else. David was blindsided. He never saw it coming. He said the words so many men say, I thought we were fine. But when he looked back, the signs had been there all along. Her distance, her disinterest in intimacy, her long hours at work that he never questioned. She hadn't stopped loving him. She had stopped feeling loved by him. And by the time he realized it, it was too late. The emotional bond had already been transferred. Their marriage didn't survive. Here's the lesson. Don't be David. Don't wait until she's already gone, physically or emotionally, to wake up. The time to act is when you feel the distance. The time to act is when you notice the silence. The time to act is now. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, don't just go home and collapse on the couch. Don't just scroll. Don't just assume she knows you love her. Instead, walk in with intention. Look her in the eyes. Ask her something real. Touch her in a way that says, I still see you. Listen to her with your full attention. And here's the secret most men miss. It's not about becoming perfect overnight. It's about consistency. Small, daily acts of presence and affection compound over time. That's what rebuilds trust. That's what keeps another man from ever having an opening. Because men, the truth is simple. Women don't cheat because they want more. They cheat because they feel invisible. Your job, if you want to keep her, if you want to keep your relationship alive, is to make sure she never feels invisible again. Closing, men, this was not an easy message, but it's the truth. And if it stung, if you felt that knot in your stomach while listening, that's a sign. That's your wake-up call. Don't ignore it. Don't bury it. Don't wait until you're sitting across from her at a kitchen table while she tells you she's been with someone else. Start now. Step back into the role not just of provider, but of partner. Not just of protector, but of lover. See her, hear her, touch her, laugh with her, connect with her. Because if you don't, someone else eventually will. The choice is yours.